What is up, guys? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We're here a little early for the Cage Warriors 124 preview, of course. We've got a lightweight title on today. Agy Sardari versus Joe McColgan, and it's going to be a fantastic night. Again, last night performed phenomenally well. We saw, obviously, Matthew Bonner defeat Agy Sardari to become the Cage Warriors middleweight champion, of course, in very dominant fashion. Obviously, the prelims absolutely smashed out of the park. 4 fights, 4 finishes. It started at, 7 p.m. and was done by 7:45. Absolutely phenomenal work from the guys there. The pacing of the events are phenomenal. Of course, we saw, Sam Creasy put on a fantastic performance against Aaron Aby to move on into the flyweight tournament final. And of course, we've got the other bracket, the other semi-final tonight between Nicholas LeBlanc and Luke Shanks, of course. So, a fantastic night. Not so great for the SBG Manchester lot. Both Manny Akpan and George Smith did lose via finishes. Manny Akpan lost via arm triangle, and George Smith had a decent performance, but Mick Stanton was a better man on the night, defeating him by ground and pound in round 2. And Liam Gittins also beat Emran Somers by submission as well. So a lot of finishes last night. A lot of submissions last night also, but of course we're here for Cage Warriors 124. Agy Sardari has quietly gone about his work in the Cage Warriors, hasn't he? Since he became champion against Jack Grant, he then defended it against Donovan Desme at the start of the year back in March at Cage Warriors 121. But he's won both of them by a split decision. So it is a little bit, he's got the raw end of the deal. He's won both fights, he's rightfully a champion. But tonight he needs to make that exclamation mark performance, that statement to say that he is the champion and rightfully a champion. Because there's going to be some people out there that thought Desme won that fight, or that Jack Grant that won that fight prior to that and should be champion. Obviously, Jack Grant's going to be fighting for the welterweight title tomorrow. But Sardari needs to come in and put that statement. And Joe McColgan's a good name and a good fighter to do that. He's previously, had the title opportunity against Mason Jones when the title was vacant. Mason Jones won that, and then went on to win the welterweight title. Now he's in the UFC, of course. So Agy Sardari is going to be looking at that, going, if I can beat Joe McColgan, he's one step closer to that dream of being in the UFC. Equally for Joe McColgan, he's going to use that experience from losing to Mason Jones back at Cage Warriors 113. He came back, had a fantastic performance against Kieran Lissa. I just watched it back there with that fantastic first round finish. He's had that experience of losing a title bout, being so close, and he's going to want to get revenge against Agy Sardari tonight and become the lightweight champion. And equally, use Mason Jones's blueprint perhaps to put that path to the UFC. Joe McColgan 7-3-1, and of course Agy Sardari is 14-2. So there's quite a bit of an experience differential, but again, Joe McColgan's been in this game a while. He's been in Cage Warriors a long time as well, and he put in some fantastic performances. So there's only 2 losses at Jay Herbert and Mason Jones and Arnold Query, but Jay Herbert and Mason Jones are UFC fighters, UFC caliber fighters. Obviously, Jay Herbert's fighting this weekend, and Mason Jones should have got a win the other week, but unfortunately, due to the eye poke, it was ruled a no contest, which is what it is. But tonight, these two go at it, and it is going to be an interesting one to see how. It's interesting to see how these cards work out due to the placement. Of course, obviously the first night kicks it all off, and obviously we've got the spotlight on Ian Garry tomorrow. So this one has gone a little bit under the radar, but we're expecting fireworks nonetheless at £155. Both of them made weight yesterday, of course, so no implications there. Obviously, Joe McColgan's last opponent missed weight by 12 or 13 pounds. So there's no implications and no problems from that point of view. But it is going to be interesting to see how Joe McColgan works back, goes into the title shot. Obviously, different arena, but again, no fans in York Hall in London, of course. But it's going to be interesting to see just how he's going to use that experience from that loss to Mason Jones to really get it back. And equally, Agy Sardari, for me, it's going to be really impressive to see how he comes out tonight. Because if he gets another split decision win, fantastic, of course. That's the aim of the game, is to get as many wins as possible and defend that belt and move on to the UFC and maybe other organisations, but obviously UFC, the predominant one with Cage Warriors. It's going to be interesting to see how that is reacted to if he does get another split decision win. If he comes out there and finishes Joe McColgan inside 2 or 3 rounds, fantastic. You've made that statement, which I think does need to be made from Agy Sardari, because he is the one this weekend that isn't quite getting the spotlight. Agy Sardari got a lot of spotlight yesterday. Matthew Bonner, come in with a fantastic couple of wins. Ian Garry is the future. He's the golden boy at the moment. Everyone's talking about Ian Gary, and rightfully so. He's an absolute phenomenon of a talent. But tonight, someone needs to go in there and go, right, this is the lightweight division, and put it back on notice, because obviously we had a little bit of time without the belt. Obviously, Mason Jones then went up to took the belt, went up to welterweight, now to the UFC, and it was vacant once more. But Agy Sardari's coming, taking that belt, and is running with it. And tonight is the perfect opportunity for him to, again, as we mentioned, put that exclamation mark in the career and say he's here to stay. He looks good. It's not like he's the judges have wronged the opponent of Agy Sardari. It's just Agy Sardari's had a very close 2 or 3 rounds, and 2 of the 3 judges saw him winning it. Of course, Jack Grant, tomorrow is fighting for that welterweight title. It'll be interesting to see if Jack Grant wins that, having lost to Sardari. Maybe wants to come back down. Maybe it'd be interesting to see how that balance plays out. Maybe Jack Grant still obviously has unfinished business at 155. Sorry. So it's going to be interesting to see how this weekend plays out, and of course it's going to be interesting to see how Nicholas LeBlanc and Luke Shanks perform after seeing Sam Creasy become a finalist, of course, in that flyweight tournament. Obviously, Luke Shanks, the former champion, lost his belt to Jake Hadley, of course. Back end of last year, of course, back in December, of course, via unanimous decision, lost quite a damning loss. It was a very one-way fight for Jake Hadley. Took a fight to the floor, if you remember, and just grinded him out. A very professional performance and professional win. And it's going to be interesting to see how the former champion responds to that. Of course, now Jake Hadley's got that spot in the Contender Series. The belt is now vacant, so Luke Shanks is going to want to put a performance on here, and also lay a claim to get his belt back in a couple of months, because he beat Samir Fadin again in a similar fashion to how Jake Hadley beat him, a very gritty, determined, professional performance to get that belt. And Nicholas Blonde is no mug. Of course, he's coming in on a 1-fight win streak. Of course, Darren O'Gormy, he lost to Sam Creasy, so that's a little bit of an extra bit of motivation from last night to get step in the cage across from Sam Creasy once again, but with a title on the line, and avenge that loss. But Sam Creasy looked phenomenal last night. He's still 6-3. Nicholas LeBlanc, of course, he's made 3 Cage Warriors appearances now. 2. This will be his 3rd. Sorry, 1 win, 1 loss. So another win tonight puts him in a very good stead. Puts him in a title spot, doesn't it? But Luke Shanks, he was on a 4-fight win streak with all that loss to Jake Hadley, and it'd be nice to see the former champion fight for the title once again. So I think Nicholas LeBlanc may be in for a tough night, but who knows? We've seen some outrageous performances, some spectacular performances, and I'm expecting more tonight. Unfortunately, I might be missing the bout due to work, or missing the card due to work. It depends on what time I get back and how quickly these guys, go through their work. Hopefully, the first 7 fights can all go to decision, guys, and we're in for a longer night than we were last night. But it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 fights go. These are the 2 main fights on it. Of course, you've got undefeated Nathan Fletcher against Brian Bouland in the 135-pound division. Nathan Fletcher obviously just saw his teammate in Matthew Bond become the middleweight champion, of course, and they're going to be looking to use that as a bit of inspiration. Of course, Nathan Fletcher doesn't, he's a confident fighter, a confident guy, and he's got a fantastic record on him now. 2 submission wins. He's won all his fights via finishes, but his most recent 2 are via rear naked choke in round 2 and round 3. So Brian Bouland could be in for a tough night, but again, 10-3, he's got equally as much chance of winning this. It's not a walkover for Nathan Fletcher at all, and he just is coming off that win against Liam Gittins, who got a fantastic win last night. Brian Bouland. So the bantamweight divisions are looking very strong, and of course, Jack Cartwright defended his title on the last trilogy. He's going to be needing a title challenger on the next trilogy, which is probably going to be in September, October, I'd imagine. And a win for either one of these 2 could put their flag in that sale, and they could be fighting for treasure come October. But of course, last night's bantamweight's put on a good performance as well. You got Jean Ndoye against Harry Hardwick, of course. Edward Walls versus Steve Amable, 15-8 Steve Amable, very very experienced fighter in that 145-pound division against Edward Walls. You've got Dean Truman versus George Hardwick. You've got 2 Hardwick brothers coming up tonight. We've seen the Figlak brothers take over. Maybe it's time for the Hardwick brothers to have some spotlight tonight and show the sibling prowess that we've been seeing in recent months. Especially those Figlak brothers are all sorts of trouble. Aaron Khalid is facing Jesse Ulo, and of course, that's in the 160-pound division. Dominic Wooding versus Cameron Hardy, and Dalen Hazan versus Josh Reed. So there's some great matchups there. It's a shame that I'm missing it, but obviously I'll be catching up on UFC Fight Pass once the bouts are taking place and once the event is over. And of course tonight we've got Bellator and PFL on top of that. So it's going to be a later one for you MMA fans. And of course tomorrow we've got Cage Warriors 125, and of course we've got UFC Vegas 30, of course, between Garn and Volkov. So European MMA at the moment. This weekend it's been a fantastic, 3 days for European MMA. Points with probably maybe 2 Irish MMA champions or Cage Warriors champions with Joe McColgan and Ian Gary, of course, Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, of course. That would be great for them, especially after what was quite a daunting day yesterday with the news with Ian Gary and Team KF, etc. It'd be nice to have that sort of disappointing news though, the ride with 2 champions, and it'd be a fantastic weekend for Irish MMA. And of course, UFC, Garn, Volkov, that's going to be an incredible matchup as well. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that. Go follow us on social media, of course, CageChat MMA on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Cage Warriors 125 preview.